talk to the lovely Vera Barber, who looks after hedgehogs. And this is to do with COP26. COP26 is the Conference of Parties, and 26 means it's in its 26th year, and it's all to do about climatic change. And this year it's been hosted in the UK at Glasgow, and the UK is the president for COP. So we thought, what could we do to introduce about climate change on the Isle of Man? And everybody thinks about climatic change as polar bears and the ice caps melting, but we wondered how it's going to affect our very common species, things like the hedgehogs. So we thought we'd come down and talk to Vera, who's very kindly got one of her hedgehogs out so we can have a closer look at it and see how the hedgehog is adapted to living on the Isle of Man, and how climatic change might change how it has to behave and forage for food. So Vera, you've got a lovely hedgehog here. What's his name?
He's called Bond.
And how old is he?
He's about 12 weeks.
Gosh, he's not very old at all, is he?
He's not very old at all. No,
how did they find him?
He was found and taken to the vet in Port Erin, who rang me up and told me they had a hoglet and could I come and get him. So I went and picked him up, and here he is.
Fabulous. And are you getting more hedgehogs over the years, do you think, coming in?
Yes, absolutely. I overwintered 53 last year. I've had, at one point, I had 35 in here through the summer. I had 14 little ones that I was hand feeding over the summer as well. So yes, I'm getting more hedgehogs in.
That's an awful lot of hedgehogs that you're helping out.
It is, yes.
Having a look at Bond, who's very aptly named, I have to say, at this time, with hedgehogs and their lifestyle, how is Bond adapted to it? Like his nose, you can see his nose sniffing around at the moment.
Hedgehogs don't see very well.
Oh, right, okay.
They've got excellent hearing and a fabulous sense of smell, and that's how they find their food. They'll dig through leaf mould with these rather fabulous nails.
Yes, wow, look at that.
Aren't they glorious?
Yeah. And even his back legs have really got strong nails on.
They are, yeah. They're very good climbers, and can climb really well as long as it's something they can get a purchase
onto. Yes, yeah. So, what sort of food would Bond be eating if he was out in the wild?
If he was out in the wild, he'd probably be. He's an insectivore. So they eat caterpillars, beetles, things like that. They're well known for eating slugs and snails. They seem to prefer snails because they're crunchy.
Like a little bit of crunch. I'd like that with my breakfast cereal.
Absolutely, yeah. So yes, they. So I don't handle them particularly much, and he's really thinking, what on earth is going on?
Yes, with them being wild animals.
Yeah, I've always treated them as the wild animal that they are.
Yes,
so he's reacting a bit.
Yes,
uncomfortable.
Yes, bless him.
Understandable.
So obviously with climatic change, with the temperatures rising, that's going to have a knock-on effect onto the sort of foods they'll eat. So things like, it might be positive in that with slugs, if the temperature's above 5 degrees centigrade, then those adult ones will be around. But slugs isn't the biggest part of their diet.
No.
So what would you say they prefer to eat?
Whatever they come across. They tend to scavenge a bit. Hedgehogs, they know about being hedgehogs, even the ones that I've hand reared. You put them down on the ground when they go around having a sniff round and going, oh, I'll have a try at this. And they're very good like that. They will try most things. They eat carrion as well.
Right, okay. So if they're eating this stuff, obviously their body's got to be adapted to that. What sort of teeth have they got?
I don't think he'll let me show you.
No, he's definitely not going to let. He's not going to smile for us.
It's got quite sharp teeth at the front. Little Scouts last night said he looked like a vampire because he had big front teeth.
Pointy. So this is very typical of an insectivore, isn't it, to have very sharp teeth? Because those insects can be quite hard to crunch through, like you said. Yes. Oh, so things like beetles, obviously, when we get more global warming, there's going to be more prevalent. But we might get different sorts of beetles that come in as well. So it might be quite hard, mightn't it, for them to adapt to a new diet and a new insect that comes into town, as it was.
It could be. Yeah, they say too many worms are toxic, and then, you know, slugs and snails they'll get lungworm from, which obviously isn't very good for the hedgehog, is it?
So, and also, if the climate changes and it's warmer, we're obviously going to get a lot drier. So those worms are going to go right down in the ground. How far can they actually dig to get a worm? How far would they be able to pull a worm out by ground?
They can't dig that far.
Right,
I
okay.
don't know. I've seen them do it as more of a sort of
Scraping on the surface,
Scraping
yeah.
on
So
the
you were probably
surface,
looking at that sort of maximum depth,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
So if these worms are forced deep in the
Further
ground,
down.
it's going to be a bit of a problem. So when the colder weather comes in winter, their strategy for survival at the moment is to
hibernate. Hibernation is triggered by a drop in temperature. When temperature drops down below freezing and stays there, the hedgehogs will hibernate, ready or not, which this little chap obviously isn't, because he's not going to get body fat to survive through the winter. But with the warmer winters, they're not hibernating right through. If it warms up through the day, they will warm up. The hedgehog will warm up and he'll come out and have a wander around and look for stuff to eat and to drink.
which could be a bit of a problem, couldn't it, if it's in the middle of winter and we haven't got the invertebrates out there, so they're going to desperately lack something to eat.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there anything we can do to help these hedgehogs if we do see one in winter that, you know, because the warmer weather has woken it up?
Well, if it's out during the day, it's got a problem. Hedgehog with a problem. If it's out in the evening and it looks like it's on a mission, it's a hedgehog with a purpose, give it a bowl of water, give it some cat food or some dog food or even some specific hedgehog food if you just happen to be that way inclined, and let it eat and wander on its way. If it's lethargic, if it's lying about on its side or just lying like a pancake with all its legs out either which way, pick it up, drop it to your nearest vet or contact myself and I'll do what I can for it. Anytime hedgehog out during the day usually has a problem, but in the winter, if it's out during the day, it's got a much bigger problem and should come in. The vet won't charge you. The vets on the island are very good.
Yes,
they'll
really
take
good.
They'll take wildlife at no charge.
So it's going to be a real mixed bag, isn't it?
It is.
Whether they win out, because obviously with hibernation, with it being warmer, they don't have all that fat storage that they have to go through, that it's going to be kinder to them that way. But then, of course, they could run out of food. So this is part of the problem, I think, with climatic change. We're not really sure exactly what's going to happen, but we know there are going to be changes, and we really need to monitor the situation. And you're doing just a fantastic job at rescuing these hedgehogs and helping them through. So it can be really depressing, I think, when you talk about climatic change and you think, oh my goodness, maybe we could lose hedgehogs, you know, and they're such a common sight around the island. But I think there's a very positive here, because we can all make little changes and they all add together. It could be something simple, like instead of getting in the car to go to school, you could just walk. And you'd save fuel that way, and obviously all the fumes that come out. But there's other things you can do, like turning off light switches when you're not in the room, so you're not wasting energy. Even water. Water, we use a lot of fuel to produce that water, plus we have to add chemicals into it, and those chemicals come from across. So it all adds up. So even water, turn off that tap when you finish washing. Don't let it just trickle away. And especially when you clean your teeth, terrible for that. Cleaning the teeth, leaving the water running, just turn it off in between. And then when you come to clean the toothbrush, put it back on. So all these little differences, you can really feel like this climatic change is a bit overwhelming. But if everyone does it, there's 85,000 people on the island, you know, if we all do our little bit, we can make a massive, massive difference, and we could help these little fellas like our hedgehogs.